Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you on this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. And as stated earlier today, we discussed the latest developments in Gaza and the latest situation there. And we've seen on Tuesday the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sameh Shoukry, affirming Egypt's categorical rejection of the Israeli policy of distorting facts and disavowing responsibility. He said Israel is solely responsible for the humanitarian catastrophe endured by the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. This as he was, of course, attending the Arab Summit preparatory meetings in Bahrain. And we're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for this morning, Mr. Rahman, our political analyst and journalist. Mr. Amr, a very good morning to you, sir.
Very good morning to you. I'm even more delighted to be with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amr. And of course, today, let me start by asking you about the latest developments in the Gaza Strip. We've seen all the Egyptian efforts over the last 7 or so months to support the Palestinians, as well as provide constant humanitarian aid and convoys to reach them every day in a sustainable manner. We've seen the recent developments now on the ground. Could you tell us a bit more regarding this, Mr. Amr?
Well, let me tell you that the latest procedures and decisions and statements that Egypt has taken has given Israel an earthquake in its heart. Mm-hmm. And that expression is not mine, it's theirs. I'm sure that the strong decision taken in Egypt by joining South Africa in its lawsuit against the Zionist existence crimes, brutal crimes against the Arabs in the occupied lands, in the court law of La Haye has given them a shock, along with the Egyptian reaction. Afterwards, their tactical operation in Rafah, along that we have transported that reaction into the United States, so that the United States has stopped sending weapons to kill more Palestinians, as well as just last night. We were able to transport supplies and aids into the heart of Rafah, despite any procedures, despite any objection by the Israelis. I believe that if Tel Aviv take the confrontation in this conflict into a battle between Egypt and the Zionist existence, politically, diplomatically, in a conflict of wills, if I might say, they will lose. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that we have taken firm situations since the beginning of the crisis, but taken it in a balanced way to preserve what we can of the Palestinians' rights and lands, and at the same time to preserve our own national security in Sinai. Mm-hmm. So we are taking the most perfect procedures according to the international circumstances and according to, of course, to the international law. But there are red lines, and no one can cross them. I am sure that Tel Aviv is realizing this now, and I believe there will be consequences for their actions, their hostile actions, in the near future. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm sure that Egypt will continue to provide the Palestinians, our brothers in the occupied land, with more aids and supplies.
Absolutely.
We need for this to continue.
Absolutely, Mr. Amr. On that note, now, as you said, Egypt has been continuously assisting and facilitating the delivery of humanitarian aid and supplies to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. However, with the we've seen the Foreign Minister's remarks, Sameh Shoukry, saying that the military operations by the Israeli occupation in Rafah and the control they have on the side of the crossing, along with, of course, the resulting threats to the lives of workers and relief workers and truck drivers, are some of the reasons behind the difficulty in the delivering of the aid through the crossing? How do you see this new impediment with regards to aid delivery?
Well, of course, a very important and significant situation. We have the witness of the Slovenian Prime Minister when she came to Egypt, and she was shocked. She found what Antonio Guterres before her has found, and others of the international responsibles. We are opening the gates, and it's Israel only is closing the gates from its side of the borders, and there are no accuracy of the lying statements given by the Israeli Foreign Minister of Affairs. This is exactly what Mr. Sameh Shukri, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, has declared it quite clear. They are liars. They are trying to give us an accusation that has no one side, one shred of truth. And this is what we have to take, this is the actions we need to take right now. And I believe that if the confrontations come to Egypt, they have no way to confront us. They have no power to live up to our own measures and standards and strong strength that we have at all levels, politically, militarily, diplomatically. We have our own forces, at least in the region. Maybe they control the international community. Maybe they have forces to pressure the international organizations like the UN and intimidate organizations like the UNRWA after they have bombed and killed the responsibles in the occupied land by thousands, along with all the war crimes that Netanyahu is committing, and he will pay. He and his cabinet and his military leaders will pay for this. It's not by the law, but they will pay other ways.
Right, Mr. Amr, let me ask you, the role of the international community now. The situation is very dire on the ground. They are on the brink of a full-scale humanitarian crisis and famine as well, especially with the occupation of the Rafah border area. Could you tell me a bit about the role that is expected to be played by the international community and the pressure that they could exert to stop this current situation and development in the Gaza Strip?
Well, let me tell you that the international community has changed its heart, has changed its situation that continues for decades. For decades we have witnessed the UN is paralyzed or even taking the side of the aggression of the Zionist existence. But right now, the brutality of the crimes committed has changed the heart of the UN and the international communities and the whole world against the Zionist existence. The whole world realizes now who is the aggression side, who is occupying our own lands, who are massively killing millions of the Arabs in the occupied lands since more than 120 years. The aggression continues. We can never look at this conflict as just from the 7th of October operation that has shook the ground under the foot of the Israelis. But also we need to remember that occupation, as long as the occupation continues, the Palestinians have every right to defend their own land by all means, by all ways. And this is what the international law gives them, that right, according to to that international law. And that's why we have seen strong statements and situation taken by Mr. Antonio Guterres, the UN International Security Secretary, that have stood by the Palestinians and tried to help them. But of course, the Israeli influence, the Zionism influence all over the world is controlling all of the media. So that's why we are fighting a battle we should fight on other levels, not where their own weapons they are good at, like the media. We need to take other measures. And of course, as Egypt, as in here, we are getting and opening arms for any aids and supplies and positive efforts by the international community and the international organizations. We have the strongest relations with the UN right now and the UNRWA, and we are trying to do our best to give them a hand and to receive more supplies, to transport it into Rafah and the Gaza Strip.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Amr, Egypt has asserted that it fully supports and rejects any attempts of the displacement of the Palestinians, and we've seen with the further depth that the Israeli occupation army is going into Rafah, many Palestinians, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are being displaced, are being forced to move to camps across the coast and move from their homes to other areas further west. How do you see this, and what is being done in order to prevent such action?
Well, let me tell you that there was a scheme or agenda to be applied throughout that catastrophe that's going on in Gaza Strip, which is displacement of the Palestinians into Sinai and transport the conflict into Egypt, the Egyptian lands. Well, Egypt has taken and has walked that thin line on how to prevent such vicious agenda and to preserve the Palestinians' rights in their occupied lands, and as the same way we preserving and defending our own national security in Sinai. But the price was high. The Israelis has made the Palestinians pay the price by destroying and demolishing their own homes, their own lands on the largest scale since the World War II. I believe that those crimes that Israel has committed, Israel will drown in its own blood, in its own crime, as well as Egypt. It's not right for us to go into a war or a conflict or a military conflict, not in our timing, not in our own best interests. We were being. They have tried to drag us into a trap. So we go to a war not accountantly to our own best interests, as well as the vision of the international circumstances, which means a lot to us. We take the decisions according to a lot of circumstances and measures. And going to war was not one of them right now. Of course, this is respected, and this is we have other powers and forces to use. We have other strong cards in our hands, along with the persistence of the Palestinian people who are still until now resisting and killing more Israelis and fighting against the what they call it, the defense army. I have never seen an army call itself defense army despite all his action, his attacks and brutal crimes. I am sure that the persistence of the Palestinians and holding on the lands and the concept of resistance. But here my message to the Palestinians is to unite their forces, unite their names. There is no such thing as A or C or D or organizations. The resistance should be one heart, one nation, and one leadership.
Absolutely. Now, finally, Mr. Rahman, I want to speak to you a bit about the diplomatic fury of efforts by Egypt. Egypt has hosted several rounds of talks and negotiations and played a very big role to kind of mediate and negotiate amongst the two different warring parties. What is the latest stance of talks regarding a ceasefire, especially with the continued provocations by the Israeli occupation forces?
Well, before the hostile actions taken in Rafah, we were about to declare the truce and the exchanging of the hostages and the captives. But of course, the Israeli action has undermined that positive step. Despite, we still have hope, and we still have the power. We still have the capability to force the Israelis to accept the truth. We have already succeeded, and for some circumstances it was stopped. But we can still have time and chance to force Israel to accept that truth, and they will accept it. There will be no invasion of Rafah. That means a lot of danger to our own national security. And I believe that Egypt will do all it can, will use all the powers in its hands to prevent such brutal crime against 1.2 of civilians, claiming they are trying to kill this or that or eliminate Hamas leaders. They have already eliminated lots of them, and there is no way that a whole army like the Zionist army can confront a couple of thousands of militias, of fighters, even not well trained like this army. Those claims are a disgrace to the Israelis' face, a disgrace to the Israeli military.
Absolutely right. That's all the time we have for this segment. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Mr. Abdel, our political analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and your insight on this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. Ladies and gentlemen, short break and we'll be back for more. Do stay tuned.